So we're going to continue Be'ez Hashem in the Achanah l'Shabbos, preparing ourselves for Shabbos. And how do we transition and enter into a state of Shabbos? So there's different halachas, different practices that we do, and we'll read about them, we'll learn about them on a very external level, and then try to go a little more pnimius, internal, what these ideas are. So in Shulchan Aruch, Siman Reish Samach, it brings down the basic halachas of Achanas l'Shabbos, the preparations and introductions to Shabbos. So the Gemara famously says, the Gemara in Shabbos Chafei, Gemara says that Yehuda Eloi was reiches Yad Ragel Panav, Panav Yad Ragel, the Kavod Shabbos, that he washed his face and his hands and his edges of his feet, the Kavod Shabbos. So this is the halacha. This is the way the Alter Rebbe brings down this halacha. That mitzvah zirchetz kol gufi l'chil v'erev Shabbos b'chamim. L'chatchila you should wash your entire body, rechitza, like bathe your entire body or shower, and it has to be b'chamim. It has to be with hot water. We'll talk about this why specifically hot water. For Kavod Shabbos, for the honor of Shabbos, if you can't wash your complete body. In those days, it was a big deal to wash the entire body. You need a lot of water. So you should at least wash your face, your hands, and your feet. It's not a complete chayv. It's not an obligation to do it. If you do it, better. Also, the mitzvah is to clean your head, your hair, and to cut your nails b'chol erev Shabbos. So taking a shower with hot water, also your head, your hair, specifically with hot water, and to cut your nails, and also if you have long hair, to cut your hair. These are some of the main things that you do. Kavod Shabbos is an honor for Shabbos, that you're going to take a shower. You're going to cut your nails and cut your hair. Cut your nails, obviously, is something can be done every week. Cutting your hair, you'll see that there's a marker from the Bnei Yissaschar and the Siddur. Bring back a couple. No, to scrub the hair. Yeah, you'll see soon that Lachav HaRosh could mean also that it was done. Sometimes it was done with like a type of gel or some type of thing that I'm not sure exactly how people used to wash their hair, but not with water. But if you look in the Bir Halacha, in the next page on Siman Reish Samach, that it says so he says that that you should do it with hot water. Look, you see Lachav HaRosh? So the Bach says that when you says that you should clean your hair, or you should rinse your hair at something, the Bach says you should also do this with hot water. And the Be'er Halacha says, you can do anything that cleans your hair. And those days they didn't necessarily clean with water, because he was on a Gemara here talking about they did some type of neser, some type of soap or some type of thing that they used to scrape the hair with that, and that's okay. But according to the Bach, he says you should do it specifically with hot water. So it's very important that the head and the body is washed with chamim, specifically with hot water. And he brings down in the Be'er Halacha before, the question is if you can do it even with like lukewarm water, or it has to be specifically very hot water. But something about the hot water is important to do this. To clean the self with hot water. Why specifically hot water? So if you turn the page, turn one page after the Shar, go on to the next page of the Rambam. Where the Rambam talks about Hilchos Mikvahos, where a woman has to clean her hair. It talks about cleaning the hair not with Neser. And then he says you should do it specifically with hot water. even if the hot water comes from the sun, the water should be hot. Because hot water loosens the hair and allows you to comb it correctly. But cold water congeals the hair or makes it more thick, and it's not easy to clean. So hot.
What would be wrong if he was heated by the sun?
What's that?
What would be wrong if it was heated by the sun?
No, also if you even no, it doesn't. You would think that it have to be specifically very hot, intense hot light, because chama is much lighter. It's a less intense heat. You would think it'd be less intense. So it says no, it has to be intense heat, because the heat will soften the hair and allow the hair to be clean. Okay, that's halachically. This is pretty much very much straightforward. That you have to do things specifically with hot, and the hot is so. The body, the hair can be cleansed well. So you're talking about physical cleaning. Physical cleaning is done better with hot water. So therefore, you should do it with hot water. Let's go a little bit more Pnimius, a little bit more inside, deeper. So if you look in Shara Kavanas, and it's also Priyas Chaim, the Arizal writes like this. The Arizal writes that achar mivel von a reves maim chanem, v'reches und chil panav achar yadav, and he would wash his face, then wash his hands. And Ari talks about how you do this. So first you wash your face, then the right hand, then the left hand. Then he would dry himself. Then he would wash his feet and dry himself. Okay, so again, that's also simple halakha, right? That's the way you wash yourself, that you're washing yourself. But he says that the reason for the washing, the reason for this rechitza, why is there a person wash himself? Because it's masharamzu b'sefer hazoyer parshas v'Yaakov. This is an indication. What it says in the Sefer Hazoyer, it says in the Zoyer parshas v'Yaakov, b'ni mashanas b'chol yom hashishi. That the forces of the universe, the 70 forces of the universe, like the 70 nations, the 70 forces of the universe gather. This is what the Zohar talks about. It's a long arichas. If you want to look at the Zohar, Parshas Yaakov has a lot to do with heat and Avdallah and everything to do with fire. That it becomes a big fire. That they want this. It becomes a fire, and it wants to receive from Olam Atzilus, and it's pushed aside. What does this mean? This madur sheish, this bonfire of fire, is klipas noiga, is a refined klipa, a very delicate klipa, a very delicate negative thing, and it's called klipas noiga. It's called like the klipa, the husk that's glowing, the glowing husk. Shua klipa yoisa krevel kedusha. This is closer to the level of kedusha. Ba klipa beroisai. Ki hashafa shel yom Shabbos shel aver lekol vav imei choil b'sheish ma'asvatu hu erev Shabbos v'yedei shetachsa kedusha l'salis. It knows that now the kedusha is going to have an elevation. In order for it to have an elevation into a higher realm, to receive more flow. So the next week should have new shefa, new flow for the coming week. So Klippa also wants to receive. I mean, this is very interesting words. We have to understand what they are. That the Klippa also wants to receive its nourishment. And because they also went through the work week. And therefore it also wants. And in order to get star of simcha yoni vata klal shaloyin, the tefes kedusha yoni, and nimshach min hagvur zal yoni is kayach echad, anika shaluva deisha. Therefore, a great fire comes down, a powerful fire. Umoydes aklipa hi. Tzavik echad medur of the deisha lamata adatoyim, and then it pushes this thing all the way down to the ground. Okay, what was he talking about over here? What is he saying? So let's try to unpack this on some level. So we see from here that the Arizal Now, Riva's Makbid was very careful to wash, particularly his face and his hands, tips of his hands and the tips of his legs. They're the ksavis, they're like the edges. They're the face, the edge, it's like the edge of your body, what sticks out of your body, so to speak. And the idea is specifically to wash those parts of the body, and to wash those parts of the body with hot water. The Ben Ish Chai writes this in Parshas Lech Lecha, that that's the idea. The idea is specifically to wash the edges, to wash off the edges. What is the idea to wash off the edges? 1 second. That Klippas Noiga, the Klippa of Noiga, is really the edge of Kiddusha and the edge of Klippa, right? It's not Klippa. Klippa is like this negative force, which is Shalish Klippa Satamei. It's the three levels of Klippa, which is real dense negativity. That's one form. Then there's Kiddusha, the counter, Zelumazah, the opposite of that, which is positive. Klippas Noiga is sort of a hybrid between the two. Klippas Noiga means that it has negative traits, and negative qualities, and it has some type of husk. There's some type of penetration. It's not so opaque. There's some light that's shining through. And therefore, Klippas Noiga is something we'll call parav, right? Something that's not kosher treif is shalosh klippas atmeis. These are things that are not accessible, not available to access and to transform. Things that are kedusha are able to be transformed. The things, and then shalosh klippas atmeis are things that are in between the parav. They're not a chefs shal mitzvah, not a chefs not a mitzvah, and it's our ability to to be in those, to take those those things of klippas noiga and to transform them. Okay, so klippas noiga in itself represents an edge. That's what it represents. It represents a time of edge. Erev Shabbos, like we spoke last time, Erev Shabbos itself has these two dynamics, because Erev Shabbos, on one hand, it's no longer the previous week, which is Chol. On the other hand, it's not yet Shabbos. So the light of Shabbos starts penetrating already in the Erev Shabbos, but it's not yet Shabbos. So this is a time like it's a bein hashmash. It's an in between time, which means it's not yet Shabbos, but it's not still Chol. You shouldn't do things on Erev Shabbos that you're normally doing during the week, because you're transitioning already into Shabbos, but it's still not completely Shabbos. You still can do things of Chol, which means this is the time. This is the time of the in between time, and this is the edges. Klippa flourishes in the place of edges, because in a way, even more than in the place on a level of your consciousness, there's like something that will say there's, let's say, your revealed consciousness, what you see yourself being aware of, what you know, your thoughts that you know, right? And then there's like the very hidden levels of your consciousness, very deeper levels, or like called the dunkle Zeit, what the Yisrael Salanta calls, like a very, very hidden parts of self that you don't know. And then there's the parts that are on the edges of your consciousness, like you're sort of aware of them and sort of not aware of them. Like if a person does something from his clear states of consciousness, exactly who he was, okay, then he's doing something correctly. Like he'll have his choice and he's doing the thing correctly. A person has things that he does from a place, let's say he's does something not consciously. Okay, that's a shoygig. That's something you do. So the idea is that there are parts that are on the edges of your consciousness, or on the edges of your time, which we spoke about last time, that there are things that you fill up your day with. Those are good. There are things that you know you're doing at this time, and it's really the in-between times, which is really the part where most people have a fall. Right? If I have a structured day and I know exactly how the day is going to work, even if you're doing divrei chol, if I know exactly how my day is going to work, so I know from 7 to 8 to this to 9, and exactly what I'm doing. When you find yourself in the in-between times, that's when a person generally falls, because that's where klippa finds itself. Klippa finds itself in the liminal, the place of the uncertainty, where there's not exactly, you're not doing this, you're not doing that. So the idea of washing is to wash yourself from these things. The klippa is, so therefore it represents in the edges of the body. The edge parts of the body is the tip of the hands, the tip of the fingers. That's why literally, begashmis, physically, that's the place where it collects dirt, right, by your nails of your hand and your feet. But the reason that it collects dirt On a physical level is because spiritually that's what that represents. It represents the edges where the place where klipa has an achiza. Klipa has some type of hold on it. Correct. Specifically the hands. And the idea of generally what the Rambam writes, that Chamim relaxes the hair and Chamim allows for the hair to be soft, is ba'omek also. Now this is really in depth. That's exactly what you have to be transformed. Things that you're experiencing on a physical level are things that you're also experiencing on a deeper level, which means that physically, when a person is in hot water, it releases tension. It makes the body more relaxed. And the idea is that as you're entering into Shabbos, you're transitioning into Shabbos. During the weekday is a place of tension and a place of anxiety and a place of maybe tension spurs creativity, and that's where a person has to be, and it's choil, and that's where a person is functioning from. But comes Shabbos, you want to enter a place where it's the opposite of Elam Haza, the opposite of the way we understand the world, which is the idea of aggression, and to let go of that to be in a place of more relaxation. So the physical act of taking a shower, or a physical act of going into hot water, rechitza is to release the tension on the body physically. So on a physical level, you should be able to enter Shabbos in a much more relaxed state. So it's spiritually, it's a spiritual cleansing, which is also the idea of a physical cleansing or physical relaxation, releasing of tension that allows you to enter into Shabbos. This is the oimik of why specifically with hot water. Okay. We're going to get into this a little bit further. We'll see, because it's going to be contrasted, but this is the general idea of hot water. If you look now in the piece of the Zohar, and the Zohar writes that that a person has to, as a person is entering the Shabbos, a person has to cleanse himself from the garments of choil. So the garments of choil is that. The garments of choil of weekday is stress, aggression. That's the general, consciousness and awareness of choil. A person has to let go of that. My time begin to bechol rucha achar azav shaita v'shar alama. Because there's a different type of on choil. There's a different type during the week. There's a certain type of quality that rests on Klal Yisrael. And when a person wants to leave that state, that ruach of choil, that spirit of choil, with the spirit of choil is the aggression and the movement and the creativity, which you're supposed to be during the weekday, and a person wants to enter into Shabbos to receive an Neshamas Neseira, then if a person has to go into a mikveh or to wash himself, it doesn't say mikveh, a person has to rinse himself so they could enter into the state of Shabbos. Very appropriately, this is what the Arizal actually says. That the Arizal says there are two in the tefillah. When a person goes immerse himself into the mikveh, there are the minimum according to the Ari is twice, and the reason for twice is one is to let go of the garments of the weekday, of your weekday garments, whatever the garments that you're wearing on the weekday, and the second one is to assume garments of Kodesh, of Shabbos. So you're doing the same thing over here, is by taking a shower or taking a bath in hot water. The hot is the release of the tension, letting go of the negative. That's going to be the first step. So to enter into the state of Shabbos, you want to enter in a place where there's less aggression, less tension, less just a lessening of this desire to create and to manipulate and to make something in this world. So that's the idea of literally taking a hot, people get lethargic when they take a hot bath. So that's part of that idea. Lethargic is the being tired, or lethargic is actually healthy in this state. We'll see soon that you don't end it like this. It's not exactly the way you end Shabbos, but that's the first step of the rechitza, the hot water. That's the shalefes. That's the burning away of the klipa, the burning away of everything that the garments that you wore during the choil, so you can enter into the place of kodesh. Wrote down on Shulchan Aruch also that the idea is also to cut your nails. And cutting your nails, if you look in this piece of Zohar, it's also Parshas Vayakal. which is a little further on, but the Zohar talks about nails and its relationship to fire. Specifically on Adalah, the Zohar says, that the secret is that on the fingers, the backside of the fingers are called claws. They're toiref, like zev toiref, which is their claws. So nails, so in a very, on a bigger way of speaking, the fact that a person has 5 fingers is already the world of separation. In Chazal, there's an idea, it's brought on the Yalkut, this idea that before the Chet, Adam's fingers were attached. It was like they were webbed. And after the Chet, they divided into 5. What does that represent? What does that actually, what's the oimik of that? What does that mean? It means that before a person has fingers is fine motor skills, which means you can pick up small things. That's essentially what fingers do. And if a person doesn't have fingers are attached, they don't have fine motor skills, which means that fingers allows us to break things into very, very detailed, into pratim, into very specific little details, and to pick up things that are very detailed. If you have a palm, then you can pick up bigger things. So pratim, multiplicity, separation, is connected to the world of fingers. In the world of Eitz HaChaim, the world of Tree of Life, the fingers were attached, which means that they were more in a state of oneness, more in a state of unity. And when they ate from the Tree of Knowledge, so like it says, they ate, they smelled, they tasted, etc. Not smelled, but they tasted, and they had all the senses were involved, the 5 senses, besides the sense of taste, but they sense of smell, they have the 5 senses. Because they had the 5 senses connected to 5 gvuras, before they had the 5 gvuras, the fingers divided into 5. So the fact that a person has 5 fingers represents the 5 gvuras, 5 places of separation, just like in the matzabach, correct. So the matzabach is the place of the separation, which means the finger separates. So the idea of fingers in itself is already the idea of separation. And this, what?
What's the 5th one if there is no smell?
No, it's corresponding. It's corresponding. When you eat something, you're already smelling automatically. But the Torah doesn't single out the sense of smell that it was damaged. That's why the Bnei Yissaschar says. That's why it's the neshama nezenes by that. The neshama has anah is dafka from the smell. But the idea is it's connected to the chamisha gevuras, the 5 level gevuras. That's why it's chamisha gevuras Torah from Shlomo Molech. This whole idea, the separation of the Torah into the matzapach, the 5 final letters, creates the Torah of 5 chamashim, which is all connected with the 5. So 5 is a separation. Fingers. In the fingers themselves, there's actually 2 parts of the finger. There's the front part of the finger and the back part of the finger. So the front part of the finger, which is the inner part of the finger, which is the soft part, and that is the achoraim of the finger. So the Zohar says that the achoraim, which is the claws of a person, which is the person's nails, it's boin lechodai lugav. Turfa the achorin is boin in the ampin achorin. The itzach alanar the megav shagav the ampin the achorin the achoraim. That's what lugav leitov in ampin the panim is kasain. That the inner parts of the nail, the inner parts of the finger, the side of the finger that's facing your face, right? That's the less aggressive part of the finger. Right, so you have the part that's facing the outward. If you hold your hand to yourself, so the part that's looking at your face, which is the soft part of the skin, represents the part that's softer. Okay, that represents like a more spiritual, kinder part of self. The harder part, which is the external part, which has the nail, that's considered the claws of a person. Okay, so here you're seeing that the Zohar is telling us that the physiological part of the body represents a spiritual truth as well. Like if you see the parts of the body that are more softer, inward, facing inward, that's more panemius, that's internal. Parts of the body that are facing external, that's a more external thing. The Zohar says, and not only is that external, and it needs an elevation, that's what has to do with Avdali, if they show you your fingers, but it also is the claws of a person, which means that's the aggressive part of man. Like literally the one that attacks. That's the claws. So the idea of cutting your nail is that nails in general represent, certainly with long nails, when the pasuk says she should cut her nails, because it's nivel, it represents nivel, and the cutting of the nails represents like a taming of that aggression or that type of external behavior. So the idea of cutting the nails is to cut off this level of aggression. If you look in the next Maramakum, the next source, this is a Chassidish version. This is a Chassidish version of this idea of the nails. That this is a letter from the Rebbe Rayatz. the Yort says Yud Shvat, this coming Shabbos, that I just want to read it to you like this. There was once a Fabrengen in Tafresh Nun Aleph, and there was a person that knew a lot of Chassidus, learned a lot, and even was Isaac Bavaydis Alev. Ach lo yehoya niza ben tilas yadayim. Ben tilas banayim. He didn't cut his nails correctly. What does it mean? Halt haben anstochen machen den anderen tut weh. That means he was in Yiddish it works much better. That with a person that has nails means he digs into somebody, like he sticks it into somebody, like, huh? A stochtan, like to really to hurt someone. And this person was saying it like in Yonan Ruchtin, like he was saying it's very like he was saying he was very proud. He was digging into another guy. This was by a Fabreng, and he was digging into the other person with his nails. And he was telling why you don't learn, and you should learn more, etc., etc. And he said he said it with very harsh words. And yeah, he was a little drunk, exactly. And the Rashab said when he saw this, "Es is a cup on a guf. The guf is not a chaymer." He said this person has a good head. He knows how to learn. He knows what's right in his head, but his midas, the way he acts, is not so nicely. Which means he was steching to another person. In Yiddish, you say steching. I don't know how you say it in English. He like digging into someone else with a very not. And he said, "Tois achsid der getchila sich lahasas b'naim, nicht stechen sein keturf v'achiden. Jeder stoch is klip und zitracher." He said that the Chassidus, the first Tois Chassidus says that the first thing a person has to do is they have to learn how to cut their nails, because the nails are the person's claws. So first you have to cut your nails down, and then next thing will be natilas. So then is natilas down. Then you can already wash your hands. You want to talk about washing hands with elevating your hands. That's what you do when you lift your hands, right? When you make a bracha, natilas means you're lifting your hands. You lift your hands to your head, which means you're taking your midas and you're lifting it to your head. So the first thing before you do anything, you have to make sure you cut your nails. So cutting the nails is a symbolic idea of taking off your claws.
He wasn't nizer in it, and therefore he was
That's what he's saying. He's saying he was not. He didn't do this avodah. He was like he thought, okay, he's going to learn a lot.
physical, and he actually wasn't. He actually was jiving.
He was jiving people. Yeah, he was literally he was hurting people. I mean, he was saying things that are hurtful, and he thought he was a big chassid because he's like telling the guy you're not learning, that you're not davening. But he was doing it with like claws. Like you could tell someone nicely. Then you shtech someone, like you really dig into someone. That means you don't have nails. So the idea of taking off your nails erev Shabbos, which is cutting off your claws. That's what it means. Literally, to cut off your claws. That you should enter into a Shabbos. Not you should cut your like the Rebbe Ratz writes that you should cut your nails always. This is like the Reishis Torah Chassidus. The first thing in Torah Chassidus is you have to know how to cut your nails. Yeah. Yes, it's true. We're going to talk about. It's a good child. It's a good child. Okay, it's a good child. We'll see. So maybe we'll understand this. This is one madrega that you're cutting off your nails. You're cutting off your shtechadika quality. The idea to cut into somebody. This idea of nails is also connected to another concept, which is also connected to Shabbos, which is that is brought down in the Yalkut, the Zohar, the Alshich and Bereshis brings down that we'll see soon also for Telas Yaakov from the Meir Ben Gabbai, that the garment of a person, Adam Arishan, Koydem Achet, before the Chet, the lavush of this person was nail. His whole body was covered in nail. And La'achar Achet, after the sin of eating from the tree of knowledge, the nail receded and only became part of the nail that's in the hands, the tips of your feet, which means the nail was the entire body. Which is interesting because the nail is, so it comes through the nachash, through the snake, and actually the skin of the nachash is keratin, which is the same structural protein that a person has in their nail. It's the same idea, which is kind of fascinating. But the idea is that it's connected. The body was nail. It says in Targum Yonasan that his body was ksainis oyer, so he had a garment of light, which means that he was transparent. So he wore a nailed, covered body, completely nailed. But if you're completely covered in nail, you don't have edges, right? The nails are not edges. It's everything covered. Like your fingernail goes across your thing. There's no shtecher, right? That's the whole problem with the nail is that it stops, and it can therefore grow longer. So the idea of cutting the nail also is connected to this idea of cutting away this reminder, cutting away this idea of connected to the chet etzadas. So in the Meir Ben Gabbai brings down little tzparnav, the person should cut his nail. That this is the malbush, the garment that a person, the Adam Rishon wore, was the backside, the other side, which is the Das Razal, the Yalkut says is malbush tziporin. When Adam Rishon was in Gan Eden, therefore this was a protection. The nail was protected his entire body. Kiva Chachata, then the oir of the nail, which means that the nail in the original was the outer reflection of the body, and therefore was a transparent nail, which means it was positive. But once the chet, it actually it became smaller. The oir of that nail, which means the positive quality of the nail, left. What was left was only part of the was left as a remnant of the chet. And therefore, non-cleanliness or klipa attaches itself to that nail. That's sort of a reminder to the chet etzadas. So that's the place where klipa receives its nourishment. Because it has an edge now. Correct. Now it is an edge, and it has an edge, and that's where klipa attaches itself. Klipa got the edge. Because when there is no edge, everything's surrounded by it. There is no edge, and now that there's edge, exactly. Okay. So therefore, a person should definitely cut his nail. The idea of cutting a nail is specifically to get rid of that quality. So nail represents, again, it represents shteching, it represents this aggression, it represents the claw, it represents the beginning of man's fall, the chet etzadas. So what you're doing is you're cutting away this thing. Of course, you have to do this with intention, not just cutting your nail, which is nice, but the idea is to do it with intention. And you're cutting a nail, you're also saying, I'm cutting away all those edges that hold the place of klipa, that I can enter Shabbos correctly. So I'm letting go of those edges. When exactly do you do this? When do you cut your nails? So yeah, because it needs the world needs also these things. It's part of the story. This is Meir Ben Gabbai, also called Avodas HaKodesh. You ever heard of Avodas HaKodesh? Avodas HaKodesh. It's from the Migurusha Svart, so from the 1500s. He doesn't know the Arizal yet, so it's like Kabbalah from the Svardim before the Ari, but it's the Derech Hamuna. He wrote very famous farm on Kabbalah. But the Avodas HaKodesh is considered that's a classic sefer Kabbalah. It's pretty easy sefer to learn. It's too svarm. Okay, when are you supposed to cut the nails? So the shalah, according to the shalah, we'll see soon, you cut the nails before the shower, before chitza, and before mikveh. You cut it before. The Ari would cut it afterwards. They once asked the Marash, when does he cut his nail? The fourth Chabad Rebbe, and he said that he cuts his nail after the shower, after the bath, and after mikveh, because it's softer, so it's easy to cut. Oh, so the mice with the Rosh said the same side of the story, that the Rosh said asked the Rosh said why does he cut his when does he cut his nails? No, the question was asked. It seems like the question was asked that according to the Shloh you should cut the nails before. So they asked him why is he cut afterwards. So he said the person should fast 3 days. And he fasts 3 days. After 3 days, I'll tell you the story. And the person fasted and he thought it was a big secret. And the Rosh says, why? Because it's softer. And the Oimek Pshat is the Rosh was not making a joke. This is actually the truth. Because we just said that softer, what does softer mean? Exactly. Softer doesn't mean physically softer. Softer means just like after you take a shower of hot water. And just like when you're you become softer. Softer means that the klipa is already left. You're less aggressive, you're less intense. Right? That's what we're saying. That everything you're doing on a physical level is We'll see soon. We'll see soon. We'll see soon. But if the idea is the physical actions that we do in this world reflects our consciousness, and actually it's symbiotic. We our consciousness follows our actions, right? Which means you do a physical thing, you think you're just doing something physical, and that's okay. So I feel very relaxed. But once you feel relaxed, you actually feel relaxed, because when you take a very hot shower and your child starts jumping on the wall, you're going to be less aggressive than if you're taking a very cold shower, right? Because the physical relaxation in the body will affect how you're going to act. So that's what Rav Shah is saying. When it's softer, it's easy to take away the nails and to let go of the things. This is Erev Shabbos, the idea of specifically coming to a softer place. Just to note, there's a big thing in the Rishonim. It's brought down by the Avudram and brought down also by Rav Avudram. It's also from the Spanish, from the early Spanish Rishonim. Not early, from the mid Spanish Rishonim, 1400s. And then you have from Shvili Amuna, which is a grandson of the Ramban, also from Spain. This is a Meir al-Davi. It's a very interesting sefer. There's a lot of interesting things, but he brings down two things over here that I saw, which is interesting. First of all, he talks about to go out to greet Shabbos, which we spoke about last time. He says you should do besimcha. Yeah. You should do it with joy, which is okay. Then he also says this whole thing about about how you cut your nails. So you start from the left hand, you start from the pinky, then you go to the thumb, and then you go to the right hand, you go from the thumb to the pinky, and then you go back and forth, and you don't do two nails together. You familiar with this idea? This is where it's from. This is the first marker. The second marker is Avudram. Now it comes from the Rishonim of Spain. And the Spanish Book of Balaam, the Spanish Rishonim were makbid on this. But Haviyadullah, you should just know that the Arizal was not makbid. The Loyha makbid, if you look at the next page in Shara Kavonis, the Loyha makbid, I'm sorry, that's the next one. Acha choyto koitz support of the Kovet Shabbos, we all the Meraglov, or you koitz bisadram, the Loyha choyto of the makbid, I'll say there, and this could say for Avudram. Binik tzitzat Sabranayim. Yeah, he did the same thing, Yad V'Raglov, and he didn't care which way he went. Straightforward. Yeah, same thing. You jump around. Yeah, there's a source for that. Yeah, there is a marker for this. There's a marker. But the Arizal was not makbid how you do this. You can clean one by one, and it wasn't be makbid. L'chura, yeah. What's that? That's more Ein Hara thing. Yeah, that's more an Ein Hara thing. That's not like, it's a thing. It's not. Huh? I don't know. I don't know. Huh?
I mean, I was told that you skip because somebody is maced, you do it one after.
Okay. But it doesn't say that. I'm saying that the Shilamuna says it. This is the market. It doesn't say that.
It is an Indian not to go in order of things.
Yeah. Maybe not to go order. You can have a lot of kavanas. I'm saying it doesn't say. And the main thing is that Arizal is not makbid. If Arizal is not makbid, why do I have to make up reasons? If Arizal is not makbid, you don't have to be makbid. So that's what I want to tell you. I just want to tell you that. It's brought up from Avudram. It's brought up. But I'm saying that Arizal is not makbid. I know God of the Rebbe, talking about the Rebbe's and his long nails, that the Rebbe he had a podiatrist. A secular guy. I can tell you stories. I don't want to talk on the phone, but I'll tell you when it's over. A very flavorful character. Lived in Fisher in Fire Island. If you know what it is, you'll know what it is. He was one of the only people that used to make the Rebbe laugh. Actually, the Rebbe used to laugh loudly in his room when he came. He was a very entertaining character, and can you imagine what type of character he was? Very flamboyant type of character. Anyways, the first time he came, he started cutting the Rebbe's the fingernails not in order.
Fingernails?
Also. At the feet, I guess the feet. Yeah, maybe it was the feet. Yeah, it was probably the feet. And he wasn't cutting them in order. So the Rebbe asked him, like, "Whoa, how do you?" Like he was. They said he went to Rabbi Chadikov, the Rebbe's secretary. He told him they have to be makbid. This is the way you do. The Avudram says. So the Rebbe said, "Yeah, the Avudram says, but the Arizal was not makbid. You can go straight." So he was like, "Oh, okay." He's Yid. Yeah, he's Yid. He's all told him this is the way. Huh? Yeah, it's one of your own. Yeah, same thing. I can't say we're not makbid. That's what I'm telling you. You don't have to be makbid. Huh? It's a minig, and the Arizal was not makbid in this minig, so fine, you don't have to do it. Okay. But talking about the shalah, that the shalah used to do it the opposite way. That he used to cut his nails before he went into the mikveh, or before he did a bath. If you look at the last page, on the second column, it's brought down b'shem Shalah. The Shalah brings down b'shem Kaf Yonim from the Ramipano that about Kavanah Mikveh. We'll talk about it next week about the whole Kavanah. What's the intention when you go into the mikveh? How many times you have to go in? What's the Kavanah? But he says, the first time you go into the mikveh, you have to let go of the malbushim, the garments of the choil. And if you're a person that has clear vision, or if you have vision, that you're going to see like partsufim, leave it what it is, you're going to have a vision of some, like a vapor that's going to be released from your nail. It's interesting that according to the Shalah already you cut your nails, right? According to the Ari, according to other ones, you're gonna cut your nails afterwards. But according to your nails already cut. You don't have that shtech. You don't have the parts of the nail. And it says that when you're going to be in the water, the finale of this process, and the Reish Chacham brings down that's when you receive the neshama yisera in the mikveh. That's that time. So then you're going to see some type of a vapor that's released that shows on kedusha. Okay, this is all regarding nails and showers. There's also, we have to talk a little bit very quickly about cutting the hair. Okay, it's too long. But the idea is, even though the idea is if you need to take a haircut, you should take it every Shabbos. Okay, before Mincha, you should try to take a haircut. But there was also a minimum kabbalim to specifically take a haircut, like even cut one piece of hair on Erev Shabbos. Just a little snip. You take one tiny piece of hair, because here is also the idea of aggression, Esav, etc., etc. And therefore, you do the same thing. Also, you're going into Shabbos, you're cutting your nails, you're cutting your hair, you're going to the hot shower, etc. This is the idea of going into this place, like the going on. But after that, you go into the mikveh. It's not dafka after. The Arizal says it looks like from the Ari they used to go to the mikveh and then do rechitza, right? So that says clear in the Shar Kavanas. That first he went to the mikveh and then he did rechitza, right? He went to the mikveh, cut his nails, then he did rechitza. But the way most say is you do it differently. You go, because there's a problem about a shower after a mikveh. It's a separate. So let's say you take the shower first, because today you take showers, don't take baths. Let's say you take a shower first and you go to the mikveh. What's the temperature of the mikveh? Now you said the mikvehs are very hot. Could be, but there's also an idea to go to a cold mikveh. So you go from hot to cold. I know it sounds very contemporary, but this is what you're supposed to do. You take a hot shower and a cold mikveh. L'tfilas carry. Let's read from the Sefer Sur Mirav Asei Tov. So, in general, the Gemara in Shabbos, Malav says that if a person zachetz v'mayim b'chamim and doesn't roichetz v'mayim b'karim afterwards, it's like a piece of metal that was heated up and then was not cooled. So that's physically. So physically, it's better to go from hot to cold. But there's also something deeper over here, which is that tefillah should be specifically tefillah's carry. But in general, tefillah should be b'mayim karim. Let's read from this is from the Zidishayah, Sur Mirav Asei Tov. Gerade talking that the Rebbe when the Lubavitcher Rebbe used to write this about the Sefer, when he ever quoted the Sefer, he never quoted Sur Meirah, because the Rebbe didn't say Ra. So he used to write Sur ... Vasei Tov. That's the way the name of the Sefer in the Rebbe's writing is. So
the way you told me in the email,
yeah.
it was also that way. He said Sur Vasei Tov.
Ah, there you go. So you have to remember, you don't have to say Ra. Huh? No, this is the dinner. This is the Zidishayah. So yeah, the bottom is B'nai Yisrael. Yeah. So the Zidishayah writes like that. Tefillah's carry yitbol b'mayim karim. That this idea that you should be toivel dafke b'mayim karim, in cold water. Besoid, this is the secret. Besoid mayim karim nefesh hayefa. V'shmur toiv ma'eretz merachik. That cold water on a parched soul. V'shmur toiv ma'eretz hayefa. And a shmut of a good hiding from a distant land. Eretz merachik nikri soid tshuva. Distant land is called tshuva. Ki Yisoid Abba Nikim Merachik. Because Yisoid of Abba of Chachma is called Rachik. Merachik Hashem nearly, because it's from a distance. Chachma it's ma'ayin to it's distant. V'yar is Merachik. You see it from distance. Kavur B'Sidr. In the Eretz Merachik, the land that is distance is Yisoid Ima, which is the Bina, the Yisoid of Bina, which is Tshuva. V'u etzam mikveh. That's the idea of Tshuva. The mikveh is to go into the place of Ima Ilah. Okay, this is what you have to return back to the mikveh. You have to go back to Bina. Bekitza, what this means is that Hamtakas Adin is B'Sharsham. In order to have a sweetening of judgment, you have to go back to the source. The shoyesh of din is Bina. That's the first place that din shows up, because Bina is Lahavim Dav Mesach Davar. So your analysis, Bain, that's already broken thing. The development of separation, that's in the world of Bina. So I'm talking Din, which means if you want to really transform yourself, you have to go back to the root. This is on a metaphysical level, a spiritual level, and intellectual level. You have to go to the source in order to change something, right? The source of everything, the source of all din starts off with Bina. Tshuva is Olam HaBina. So if you're the mikveh is going back into Olam HaBina. This is Bekitzer.
The Chachma, meaning it's the Bina of Chachma.
It's Yisoid Bina.
Yisoid.
No, the Yisoid Chachma is Merachik. Eretz Merachik is Yisoid Bina.
But Mayim is Chachma.
Okay, we're going to talk exactly. Yeah. Okay, got.
Aaron is
Yeah, okay, good. We're going to talk about that. Very good. Okay. So there's an idea dafka to go specifically to something that's cold. Okay. What's the idea of the cold? That soid mayim karim misper mes. Mayim karim, cold water in Gematria, cold water is 440, which is the numeric value of the word death. So there's a type of like yisurim, a type of like pain that you're going through this place, and therefore you're able to transform. It's brought on the Reishis Chachma that the Gemara says that Eretz Yisrael, Elam Haba, and Torah is Nikra Yisurim. So the Reishis Chachma also talks about that in Shar Ava, he talks about the idea of also to go specifically in a cold thing of water. And because he says it's Nikna Yisurim, the Elam Haba is Nikna Yisurim, so this is the Yisurim going into cold water. If let's say it's really freezing, to go into the cold water, so you can be koina Elam Haba. This is one thing. And he also brings down, which is later brought down Moshe Baal Shem, that one tefillah is never going to hurt. You ever heard this from Moshe Baal Shem?
Yeah,
one mikveh, one tefillah, it's on Baal Shem. Baal Shem says that even the mikveh is not looks like a soup. It looks like, so you can go there. One tefillah, not more than one. And don't hang out there. But one tefillah is on the Baal Shem. You go for one tefillah, you have the Baal Shem. Al Sakana, yeah. And he takes on his Zacharayas for one. Oh, there is one. Huh? Yeah, exactly. Arizal didn't tell his mother, yes. Exactly.
He didn't have about sentence.
No. Okay. So what is Mayim Karim? So B'Soichin B'Shem Milshem Asher Tzadik Nifim Misa Mikashrei Keri. There's a Torah from the Baal Shem. It's on the pasuk Yag Hashem Be'ino Mavsach L'Chasidav, which Baal Shem doesn't say exactly the way the Zidish Chazas this Torah translated. But the Torah from the Baal Shem, the Yag Hashem Be'ino Mavsach L'Chasidav, that Yakar, which is Keri, which is an omission, is like a mavis for tzaddikim, for the Chasidav, and when a tzaddik experiences, he experiences like a type of death, and it's cleansing. Now the Zidish, this is already interpretation from the Sefer. He says tzaddik actually tsar because a person that has an omission, if he's a tzaddik, then he feels terrible. He has tsar, he has pain. And that's nifter misa. Therefore, it's like a death. And then he says the same thing also. The Gemara says, "Haroya kari b'yom kippurim." So in Over Shana, the Gemara says, "Naniyuma." If you see kari a mission on Yom Kippurim, in the night of Yom Kippur, that if you should worry for the whole year. But if you're over the Shana, if you pass the year, is year zera yarcham. If year zera yarcham, so it means you're gonna have a good life. You're gonna live well. This is already interpretation. It's not clear that this is Baal Shem Tov meant. There's other ways to understand this Baal Shem. I think it's got a little bit maybe the opposite. But let's just hold this story for a second. But the point is that Mayim Karim, cold, is connected to Keri, which is also from the word happenstance, coldness, happenstance. So Yakar Oisis Keri, or Mayim Nefesh, or Mayim Mesiris Nefesh, Lemisik, when it was the Mayim, Nidak Torah Mayim Karim. Okay. This is because of the idea that somehow through the cold water you're going to do a tikkun for carry. What's carry? What is carry? So carry literally is an omission, but what is the root of carry? Carry is mikra nikra. Carry comes from coldness. What does mean carry comes from coldness? That there is, when a person becomes carry is the when the Rambam writes in the beginning of Hilchos Tainis that a person says a mikra nikra, someone that says things just happenstance, is an achzari. It's an achzer. What's an achzer? An achzer means someone that's zar, achzar, someone that's foreign to life, someone that has a disconnect, someone that's not attached, someone that's not passionate about things. Disassociated, exactly. Someone that's disassociated. And when a person lives coldly, what does it mean a person's a cold person? A person's cold is like nothing really inspires them, nothing really matters to them. There's a certain level of indifference, right? This is what carries. So the root of sin, this is the depth that I said here. The root of negative behavior, certainly behavior that you're looking to find life, zera, yarcham, you're looking for life, it always comes from a lack of feeling life. When people feel cold to life, and people feel indifferent to life, they end up feeling very cold to mitzvahs and to Torah. They feel cold to kedusha. They become very deadened, and then the outgrowth of that deadness, because you feel that everything is carry, is always looking for expressions of life. And sometimes people do certain deviant behaviors in this world because they're so shut down from life that they feel like if I do this thing, that's going to bring me chayas. I don't know if this is coming clear, but I just want to give you like an example of this idea, so you should be a little more compassionate. That sometimes if people go through tragedy, especially like real tragedy in this world, God forbid, like a loss of a child, something like really intense, they end up doing very, very silly averos, like things that are completely inconsistent with who their character is. It's not going to get if you know this to be true or not, but I'm telling you this is the way it is. But I know, unfortunately, and the reason for that is because when they feel so dead, something so numb. That's a good word. They're trying to recreate life. They're trying to like generate something that's going to spark their aliveness again. And what? Kind of Avodah.
We just alive.
Yeah. So I'm saying because because you feel so non-alive. The careerist. This is what I'm saying. The careerist, the coldness and the indifference, the achzarius of life. Because the careerist makes you so dead, nikra. So what you do is the extreme opposite of that. You do cham. You try to find like life in unholy sources. But the mucker from that is careerist, is coldness. And every time you have something, the way to counter it, there's Gehenim Shel Shelag and there's Gehenim Shel Esh. Right? There's two types of Gehenim. The Alka, the Zohar brings down. There's two types of Gehenim. There's a Gehenim of fire and the Gehenim of Esh. And the Pri Tzadik, the Alter Rebbe writes in Al-Maram Ketzarim, what's the difference? That if a person that has passionate averos, or like the Zohar says, the Ari writes that for lois essay it's tle, it's heat. For essay it's akrov, which is cold, carry. That if a person has heat, something that's coming from a person of a lot of heat, then kol shabamayim tavir b'mayim, kol shabe'esh tavir b'esh. In other words, if something is water, you have to cleanse it with water. Kiboy lekach bolte, right? That's like the concept. If something is ingrained a certain way, it has to be extricated the same way. So if something's ingrained through esh, through fire, you need esh to draw it out. So you need fire to draw it out. Something comes from a place of carry is mayim kaimer nefesh hayefa. When a person is parched because a person is feeling dead, and a person is cold and indifferent, sometimes what you need to counter that, you need like a positive mayim karim, not a direction into something that's negative. The tikkun for that, the amtaka of that din is mayim karim and nefesh hayefa. You take the mayim karim, you take the cold water, and that's so you put yourself into that state. So the cold water is awake. That the cold itself will wake you up. That's the mayim karim and nefesh hayefa, which eventually wakes you up. So here we have two nekudas of Shabbos. On one hand, Shabbos is you want to go into the Madrega of Shabbos, you want to get into this place of Shabbos, you have to do specifically hot. Because hot is going to relax you, hot is going to let go of the tension, hot is going to make you in a relaxed state. Then you want to be enter into Shabbos, so you want to be alive now. Okay, that's the release of tension is an excellent thing. That's like the first Madrega. Then you want to be awakened again. And here what you need to do is a little bit colder. So I suggest that even if you don't go into a freezing mikveh, because that's the way mikvahs are made today, and there's also a long shaila b'chal why mikvahs are made warm. But let's say the point is that if you're taking a shower before the mikvah, so what you can do is by the end of the shower turn a little cold, and then you yotze b'mayim kama nefesh hayafeh. You yotze this idea that you'll have a little bit of cold water, and then you're going to be coming awake, because water cold in general, cold is connected to chesed, and heat is connected to gevura. So choil is connected to eish. Weekday is connected to fire. That's why the primary mitzvah, the primary loisa say of the Torah on Shabbos is loisa viru eish. Eish is the main thing, right? Lav yotzas, l'chalak yotzas, but the main of the lamitas malachas, of the 39 things, is not to do fire. Why fire? Because fire represents productivity. Civilization begins with fire. The moment man was able to manipulate fire, like the Torah says in Matzah Shabbos, that's when begins. The moment you can cook, you can preserve. You can cook, you can have civilization. Civilization begins with fire. Fire is productivity. It's creativity. This is fire. Shabbos comes. You want to burn first out the choil of the fire. You want to burn with that fire. You want to burn it out through rechitza. Going back to your thing that you talk about Gehenna, but that's the oimik of that idea, is you're burning out the negativity through taking the same fire, but now you're burning it with holy fire, with Shalavis Ka. You're burning with the fire. That's the first thing, to let go of the negative and to release it. That's the Gvura. But then when you want to go into Shabbos, you want to go to a Chesed. You want to go to something that's refreshing, something that's not Gvura, but it's the opposite of Gvura, which is Chesed. And ultimately Chesed is going to be the idea of or chachma, chesed, and chachma, this is the idea, going back to what you're saying, that's what Shabbos says, you're going to enter into that peaceful state where there's where it's not the fire, aggressive, long nails, big hair, aggressive part of yourself. You're cutting your nails, you're cutting your hair, you're going to taking a shower, you're taking a bath, you're getting relaxed, and then you're going to enter the Shabbos in a correct way. So that's why the simplest kavana of going into the mikveh, according to the Shalach Kaddish, is as follows. A mayim, water, it's going to be a water b'chachma. Incidentally, Shabbos, in a strange way of doing gematria, would actually be 72, which is gematria chesed. Because if Shabbos is shin beis taf in small gematria is 3, 2, 4. Yeah. So 3 and 4 is 7, and 7 and 2 is 72. So you have 72, which is chesed. So you have the idea, okay, but it's brought down. It's not my own thing. So the idea of chesed is connected to, so chesed, mayim, karim, refreshing, elam haba, that's nikne b'yisur, that's what from the Reishis Chachma, that's the idea of to enter into Shabbos. So the simple kavanah, God raises Hashem, we'll learn it through.
Like you said before, it's connected more to water than
Correct.
fire.
Correct. Right, correct. That's what I'm saying. It's because it's mayim. So mum, I don't know if it brings down over here, but mum and mayim have the same. Mum is choil. Mum is a defect with the Shem Elokim, which is 86. When the vav becomes a yud, so instead of having mem vav yud, mem vav mem, you have mem yud mem, then you have mayim, which mayim is chesed, and that's the opposite, and that's the nine chasadim, the 9 yuds from Shem Hashem. Look at this. Look from the Shalach Kaddish. Seit Tfilas Erev Shabbos Akoyel Mincha Achar Mincha V'Tzarich Li is Achar Tzayis Yechaven Shemayim. This is the main thing. Mayim is 90. Shemayim is 90. This is the last page. Mayim is 90. And Keneged Tisha Yudin. This corresponds to the 9 Yudin that you have, because if you take the 4 names of Shem Av Sag Mam Ban, which is the 4 ways of spelling out the name of Hashem. And he's going to actually explain how this is. Shem Av Yesh Vadal Yud. The Shem Av, the 7th name of Hashem, has 4 Yuds. How? Shem Sag, Ketzad, how do you do that? Yud Vav Daled, that's 1 Yud. Hey Yud, then another Yud. Vav Yud Vav, another Yud. Hey Yud, another Yud. In total, the number is 72, right? Yud Vav Daled, Hey Yud, Vav Yud Hey. Vav Yud Vav. If you Hey Yud is 72, which you have 4 Yuds. Shem Sag, the 63 name, which is Yud Vav Dal Hey Yud, Vav Aleph Vav Hey Yud. There's 3 Yuds, which is the name 63. That's Zayin Yud. Vacha Shem Ma, then you have Shem Ma. 45, which is Yud Vav Dal Hey Aleph, Vav Aleph Vav Hey Aleph are Yud Achas. That's Ches Yudin. That's 8 Yudin. That's the milui of Shem Hashem with Hey Al with the Alephs. And the Achav Shem Ban Ketzad Hari Yud Man was 52 Yud Vav Daled Hey Hey Vav Vav Hey Hey Hari Yud Achad, which is another one. And here you have 9 Yud, which is Gematria. 9 Yuds correspond to the word Mayim. So you're going into Mayim. Shabbos is 9, correct. Shabbos is 9, correct. Everything in Shabbos is 9, correct. Mark is 9, and Chala is 9, and whatever. We'll talk about that later. Omil Shem Mikvah Oile Kufnun Aleph. Mikvah is 151, like it says Shem Eka, the same like a Shem Eka, which is Aleph Lamed Pei Hey Hey Yod Vav Dal Hey Hey is 151. Okay. We got.
Eka times Eka is MS, one more than Mace.
That's good. Excellent. Okay. The point is that the simple kavana from the Shalach Kodesh is that you're mechaven for the yuds, for the 9 yuds which correspond to the word ma'im, which means that you're entering the place of chasadim, of chesed, of chachma, which means that you're transitioning from the place of eish, from the place of fire, the place of aggression, the place of creativity, the place of being human and participating in this world in a way that you're supposed to participate and show up in this world, and you're receding all that. You're cutting off your nails, you're cutting off your hair, you're cutting off this aggression, you're relaxing the body, you're going to the place of cham, then you go to the place of mayim, which you're rejuvenating, and in the place of rejuvenation, you're drawing down the mayim, which is water. You're entering into the water reality. The water reality is less resistance, right? In the world of Aish, in the world of a land animal, there's resistance. You move, you make a carbon footprint, which means you're constantly making an effect. In the world of water, you float with no resistance. That's the world of Kedusha. That's the world of unity. That's the world of Achtas. You're going from a place of aggression where you have to fight the world. You have to be not relaxed, and you have to be, in a state of flight or fright. This is which is a state of choil. But you want to enter the state of Shabbos. So the more you're going to do these practices, achanas of Shabbos, the halachically, there's literally these are the things that you have to do. But if you understand the side of this, or even if you don't, it's automatic. This is the way it's happening. Is what you're actually going to do. If you do this correctly, you're going to come You're going to from relaxed and refreshed for Shabbos. If you do the chitza b'chamim and the tefillah b'kar, you're going to come finally to the place that you're going to have mayim. It's not going to be mum. It's not going to be shem elakim. It's not going to be din. It's not going to be shalav. It's going to be chesed, and you're going to enter the place of chasadim, and you're able to enter Shabbos. Kol Hashem alamayim. That's why in the Kabbalah Shabbos you talk about mayim, because it's all about entering into the water state, to be like fish in the water. Kamayim yom l'chasim. That's the nukudah.